Welcome to the Seahawkers Podcast with your hosts, Adam Emmert.
Short shorts, skinny jeans, man buns. Oh, and dudes wearing clogs. That's the line in the sand. Can't have it.
And Brandan Schultz.
Have you seen Russell Wilson's thighs? Yes, you have, because he's been wearing short shorts.
Go Hawks!
On a quest to own the West, yippee-ki-yay, we make the ground shake on game day.
Yes, we do. Welcome to episode 177 of the Seahawkers Podcast. I'm Brandan Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me on Halloween, dressed up as a Seahawks fan who had his world turned upside down this week, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
So you're the Brandan Schultz, right?
Yeah.
Not like some bizarro other dimension Brandan Schultz? Because I feel like I've slipped into another dimension. I need some reality checks here, Brandan, because I just watched a football game in which the defense gave up 38 points. Our running backs ran for a combined 5 yards, and we won. And we traded for a Pro Bowl left tackle. I'm in an alternative universe. You're the Brandan Schultz, right? Like, I need fact checks here. Who was our kindergarten teacher?
Mrs. Vanetta.
Okay. How many daughters do you have?
3.
Okay. What color is my house?
Greenish?
Okay. All right. This is reality. I was uncertain. What a crazy few days.
It's been a crazy couple days. And
I'm in a different fandom. This is I don't even feel like a real 12 right now. This is crazy.
The one way I know that we're in the proper reality is I checked Pro Football Reference, and they accurately listed Duane Brown, who the Seahawks just traded for.
Correct.
Not as a tackle, but as a guard. So, see, they're already recognizing the reality in which we live, that Duane Brown is no longer a tackle now that he plays for the Seahawks, because all we have is the middle guard, the center guards, and then the outer guards.
All the guards.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why this trade actually happened, is that Tom Cable looked at his what was that on Pro Football Reference? Is that what you said?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Looked at his player profile there and was like, oh, a guard. We could trade for him. I'm on board. If he's a tackle, I'm out. But if he's a guard, I'm in. And so John was like, hey, Tom thinks this dude's a guard. Like, let's get this done.
Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Well, that is the big news this week. We're going to be talking about Duane Brown coming to the Seahawks. We'll be talking about the Seahawks 41-38 victory over the Houston Texans. And then they have an upcoming game against Washington this Sunday. Back-to-back home games. We'll be talking about that as well. Adam, I know you're going to try and make the trip out to the game.
Yeah.
I think maybe you're looking to hitch a ride if anybody's going to the game from Lewiston, Idaho.
Yeah, if there happens to be anybody going to Seattle from Lewiston, Idaho, Sunday morning, that would be cool. Only because that might save Jared and I having to take 2 cars to Lewiston if I'm going to try to even be able to get there. This is going to be touch and go, but I really want to. There's going to be so many of you little flockers out there that I really want to see and really, really genuinely want to see. So I'm going to do my darndest, man. I may be dead dog tired when I get there, but
you might
do my darndest.
But if we can get you a ride, I know I can get you back to Montana on Sunday.
Right.
So
I'll hitchhike at that point. I don't even care.
Yeah. After the game, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just getting there.
Yeah.
Well, let's start things off. Big news. The Seahawks actually acquire offensive line talent, Adam. And just when you're starting to think the team didn't care about the O-line, they do. They do care about it. And maybe it had a little bit of something to do with the fact that, as you mentioned, 5 yards rushing combined on Sunday against the Texans.
Yeah, I think it has a little bit to do with that. And then also, I think it has a little bit to do with me. I just want to say you're welcome to all the listeners. Because John Schneider finally caved to my constant whining. Like, it finally happened. The squeaky wheel got the grease. And the Seahawks pull off a trade that I genuinely think is a great value for the Seahawks with what they gave up. This is going to work out fantastically over time. And I'm really excited about what Duane Brown brings to the team. And the idea that John said he would like to see him retire there as a Seahawk. That means this isn't a stopgap. This is a guy they want to see for a while.
It would suggest that based on the amount of value that they gave to the Texans to get him. Now, they actually get a 5th rounder from the Texans in the deal in addition to Brown, but they have to send a 3rd rounder in 2018 and then a 2nd rounder in 2019. And when people see that, they go, oh, well, that stings a little bit. But, well, to some people, I'm saying, I know it doesn't to you, but that 2019 pick wasn't going to be helping us win a Super Bowl anytime soon. So that is not a problem to me. And I wanted to go back because you recognize squeaky wheel getting the grease. Brett in Sydney, he sent an email. He said, I would like to nominate Adam Emmert for a Better at Life Than Skip Bayless award. In order to stop Adam's incessant ranting about the O-line, John Schneider did what had to be done and signed Duane Brown from the Texans. I wish it had been done a lot earlier, but now Adam has no choice. Adam has no choice but to pipe down about the O-line. Well done. Agreed. Well done, Adam, for forcing John Schneider's hand. At last, the final piece is in place, and now I can say the Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. This team is stacked apart from the running back position. With a relatively easy schedule, the Seahawks are in prime position to be the number 1 NFC seed this year. Keep up the good work, gents, and go Hawks.
Go Hawks, Brett. I appreciate the email. I agree. Now I can't just sit here and freak out over a complete lack of action towards the biggest problem on this team. They actually made a legitimate, high-quality move. I got to rewatch about the first half of the game before we got on the podcast, and at first I was going to try to see, how Deshaun Watson managed to pick us apart the way that he did. Nope. I watched Duane Brown on every single snap. You know what he is? Freaking awesome. Yeah. He's really dang good. And he's been really dang good for a long time.
And not only that, you watched a Duane Brown that hadn't played.
Oh, did you say a Duane Brown?
You watched a Duane Brown, and this is okay. This is proper usage, actually, Adam.
Oh, okay. Educate me.
Well, because it is not only a Duane Brown, it is the Duane Brown. I am talking about the actual person, Duane Brown.
Right.
Not someone like him.
Oh, okay.
The actual dude.
All
you watched a Duane Brown up against a Seahawks defensive line in CenturyLink and a guy that hadn't played since January of 2017. So almost 10 full months.
And every time he put his mitts on somebody, it was game over. That's exactly how it went on pretty much every single play for the Texans in that game. And that's when he's rusty. So that seems pretty good. I wanted to come back a little bit to the idea of what the Seahawks gave up for Duane Brown and how you said some people, I know not you or I, but some people will be like, man, that's kind of a lot. Well, let's go over this real quick and why this is actually going to pan out really well for the Seahawks as far as what they gave up.
And initially, we thought they were giving up Jeremy Lane to send down to the Texans to help offset some of the salary, but he fails his physical. Maybe it had to do with his bruised thigh that he suffered during the game on Sunday. Maybe it had to do with the fingers that he hurt the week before. Maybe it had to do with a groin issue that he's been dealing with for part of the season. Who knows? But Seattle now gets to keep him and have a really nice amount of depth to the secondary with Deshaun Shedd coming back. But let's talk about those picks. The Seahawks already gave up the second rounder for 2018 for Richardson, and now they give up a third rounder, but they also get a fifth back, so it balances out there. And I think they have 3 picks in the 5th round now. And we've also seen how the team is willing to trade their first round pick almost every year to go and accumulate more picks throughout the draft.
John Schneider is going to trade his first, pick up another second, and probably another 5th or 6th. So you're not really losing anything when it's all said and done. It's all going to buff out about exactly the same as it would have. And you get a Pro Bowl left tackle out of the deal.
And you're going to be losing some guys that bring you in 3rd round comp picks.
Right.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to be able to keep everybody.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see. We can talk about that. Know. That's good off-season talk. But
that is good off-season talk. But to help keep guys around, I mean, to make this deal work, we saw that Russell Wilson restructured his contract.
He did. And you have to wonder if they would have tried to maybe move a little bit more money around if they would have known that the Texans really didn't care to get Jeremy Lane as part of the deal, which is, it's incredibly surprising to me because I don't know if you saw this, but the Texans gave up 34 points to the Seahawks offense on Sunday.
Right.
They could have really used some help in their secondary.
Yeah, we also gave up 38 points to the Texans offense, and I don't think we need help in the secondary. I think our secondary is going to be okay.
So are you maybe just a little bit surprised they didn't try and find room for another Pro Bowl player on defense after giving up 38 points?
Yeah, right. Instead, they go on the offensive side of the ball, which is a little crazy. But I love this trade. I think this is exactly what this team needed at this point in the year. It is time to go for it. And I'm with Brett and Sydney. This is the type of move that puts you in contention to go all the way to the Super Bowl. You said one of the reasons John Schneider pulled off this trade is he looked at the running backs and said, oh, they only gained 5 yards and the running game is abysmal. I think that is one way to look at it. I think the other thing that he looked at was, the running backs only got 5 yards, but Russell Wilson threw for a career high 400 odd some yards. We're going to have to be a passing offense going forward this season for this window. And if you're going to be that, you need a quality left tackle. And so he pulled the trigger. That, and he was tired of listening to me.
Nah, that too. And I don't think it was one game that made this happen. And it seems like this had been in the works for a while.
It sounded like they had been in discussions for quite some time regarding this trade.
Well, let's get to this game, Adam. Russell Wilson.
Are we done gushing about left tackles?
We can bring it in more, but I think we're 10 minutes into the show.
All right. I'm so happy.
I know you're happy. I know you're happy. And I'm
so happy.
I think many of us Seahawks fans are super happy about this game on Sunday, too.
I know, but we have a left tackle now.
And that tops everything. I understand.
So many more games are going to be awesome now. This is great. Okay, but let's talk about this game, which was fun. A shootout. I know you and I both totally expected that.
We totally expected a shootout, with two defensive teams generally, with the Texans being among the top teams in top scoring defenses. The Seahawks, the top scoring defense going into this game. And what do? It's an offensive shootout as the Seahawks win 41-38. Nearly every score in this game, just back and forth. The Texans get on the board early. 59-yard pass over the top of Earl Thomas to Will Fuller from Deshaun Watson. Will Fuller, Adam, who you dogged before this game.
Yeah, this is such bullshit. Catfish! He had 9 catches all year coming into this game. And suddenly proves you right. It's a bunch of crap. Every time, I was double mad every time Will Fuller caught a touchdown. That was a bunch of crap.
He was injured to start the year. I tried to tell you. I tried to warn you. I tried to warn all the listeners.
You did. You were Paul Revere. The British were coming. Yeah. The Fullers were coming.
And he beat Earl Thomas early on. Fortunately, Earl Thomas, he wasn't having any of it. He came back with a little play of his own.
Watson out of the shotgun on 3rd and 10. Miller stays in the backfield. 4-man rush. Watson throws down the middle. It's intercepted. It's Earl Thomas coming back near side. Hooper goal. Midfield 40, 35. He's going to go 20, 10, 5. No flags. Touchdown. Seahawks. Earl Thomas picks it off. You can beat him once, but don't try him again. And he takes it to the house.
Earl really did jump that route and did a great job of reading the quarterback the second go around there when Watson decided to test him. Now, the route concepts were very different on the two plays. On the touchdown, they ran DeAndre Hopkins on a deep crosser and basically dropped Will Fuller on the other side of the field in behind him, just a straight go route. So Earl tried to kind of play it in between and to be able, because his chief concern was Hopkins. So he cheated up a little bit on that. Will Fuller burns Griffin, and it's a touchdown. Now, in the second play, on the interception, there was nobody to take his attention away. He was just out there doing Area 29 things, just being able to lurk around there and read the quarterback's eyes. And if you don't put him in a bind like they did in that previous route concept,
right,
and you give him the ability to sit back there and pick who he's going to jump, good luck with that. That's pick six all day.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly for Earl in that spot. And apparently before the game, Earl had predicted he was going to pick six Watson. So
can he do that every week now?
I would like to see him make that prediction every week.
Okay. If that's what it takes, just do that.
It's like just doing just tell yourself, do better.
Do better. I do it all. Yeah. I have to tell myself that all the time, every day.
Well, the defense was the one that got the defense got the Seahawks on the board first with that touchdown, but Russell Wilson wasn't far behind. The Seahawks offense slow to start.
Wait, no way.
I know. It's weird, but they actually scored points in the first quarter, though. So this is a departure from the norm.
Right.
And after a Lamar Miller 3-yard run for a touchdown, after the Earl Thomas touchdown, Russell Wilson finds Paul Richardson in the end zone.
Russell from the empty backfield takes a shotgun snap, steps up, spins out of trouble, gets a good block. Now he's going to slide near side. Now he's going to throw down the middle. Ball is caught. Touchdown! Seahawks! It is Paul Richardson. I was looking at the receiver in the back of the end zone and thought it was going to fall incomplete, and Richardson came out of nowhere and makes the catch crossing the field. Richardson with the touchdown catch from 20 yards, and the Seahawks are a point away from tying it up at 14 apiece.
And thank goodness he came out of nowhere, because had that been going to Baldwin, it would have short hopped him.
I hadn't heard Steve Rabel's call till just now. And not only was Steve Rabel looking at Baldwin in the back of the end zone, but Russell Wilson was too.
Right.
That throw was not to Paul Richardson. But he came in on his white horse, scooped it up, touchdown. Great play. I thought what was interesting on that play is Odiombo got initially beat, but then recovered and just pancaked Clowney.
Yeah.
One of the few times he got the better of him. The rest of the day, Clowney ate his lunch, and I think that also facilitated the Duane Brown trade, because that was bad.
It was a rough day, but you have to expect against one of the premier pass rushers that Odiombo was going to have a rough day.
That was really rough.
Yeah.
But pretty cool. I don't know that we're going to be able to get through every single touchdown, every single big play in this. I mean, there's just too many. I think we're going to have to pick our favorites.
We are, because there were 2 touchdowns to Paul Richardson. There were 2 touchdowns to Jimmy Graham. We played the Earl Thomas touchdown, and Blair Walsh scored some points too down there inside the red zone. And fortunately, those 2 field goals didn't come back to bite the Seahawks, because getting so close to getting into the end zone, and then Russell Wilson throwing a late interception to the Texans. After that point, it kind of looked like maybe the Texans were going to pull through on this game. I know a few.
No, it didn't. It was Russ time. I knew it. I called it. Absolutely. I knew that was going to happen. All I said was they just needed one stop, and then it's Russ time.
Yeah.
And it was. And let's talk about some of our favorites. Let's talk about that last drive. All the greatest hits, all 3 plays there that were freaking amazing. I mean, Russell Wilson hooks up with Paul Richardson deep, then hits Tyler Lockett on a 19-yard strike, and then, just throws a touchdown to win the game on the near the last play of the game.
Russell gets the offense to the line. Is he going to slam it down, or is he going to make a play? He takes the snap. He's going to look downfield. He's going to throw. Jimmy Graham. Touchdown, Seahawks. Jimmy Graham on a shot right down the middle of the field. Are you kidding me? Holy catfish, what a play, what a drive, an 18-yard play, and the 12s are going nuts.
There's so much to like about the play. There's so much to like about the call.
Yes.
With Rabel nearly losing his voice.
I think his voice sounded like we all felt at that point.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, right? They're like excited but a little ragged around the edges and exhausted. Yeah.
Well, the one you could tell where the exhaustion was on the field, because every single one of those dudes looked like they expected Russell to spike the ball. Russell Wilson had his choice of 3 dudes in the back of the end zone, and he chose to throw it to Graham. Everybody was wide open.
He really doesn't want Jimmy Graham to be traded. So he threw it to Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 touchdowns on the day for Jimmy. Definitely trade the bum. Can't have that on our team.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, what was amazing about that, Russell Wilson comes down, we call it the stat, right? Because at the end of every game, when it comes down to the last 2 minutes, like the TV station puts up how many times a quarterback has had a game-tying or game-winning touchdown or score in their career. We call that the stat.
The stat.
So Russell Wilson gets a stat. Watson does not. That was Russell Wilson looking at Deshaun Watson and being like, all right, kid, you're good. That ain't your time yet. Sit down, son.
Well, it was a huge day for Wilson. You mentioned he got the stat, and we're talking about comeback wins. 19th. That's Russell Wilson's 19th comeback victory. Puts him at number 31 in the NFL all time. That ties him with dudes like Terry Bradshaw, Boomer Esiason, Ken Stabler, Bart Starr. All those guys
there, huh?
Yeah. Joe Theismann.
Minus Boomer, yeah.
No, Boomer was a good quarterback and didn't have any rings. Yeah. Nearly had a ring, but Joe Montana took that one right away from him.
With his own stat, yeah.
Yeah. 482 yards of offense, 452 yards passing, 30 rushing. We talked about the 4 touchdowns. Russell Wilson, 482 yards of offense. The Seattle Seahawks offense, 479 yards. Somehow Russell Wilson got 3 more than total team offense.
Pretty amazing. And then when you look at the rushing stats, I mean, him with 30 yards and the rest of the running backs combined for 5 yards. Let's talk about something negative. Like we've had a lot of gush fest here for the first 15 minutes of the pod here, or so 20 minutes. Let's talk about the running game. I think dumpster fire doesn't quite sum it up. I mean, like dumpster nuclear explosion, something like that. Like that's abysmal.
And part of it was the game plan in this game. Pete Carroll said that they saw some tendencies on film that running at Jadeveon Clowney was going to be what was going to be part of their strategy in this game. Well, they found out that running at Jadeveon Clowney got you exactly 5 yards.
Right. Yeah, it was a tough game.
And really, those 5 yards probably came more toward running away from him, because when they ran at him, they were usually about 4 or 5 yards in the backfield.
That's exactly right. I mean, the national narrative that I've heard surrounding this game since the game concluded was the idea that Seattle has no running backs. Boy, I've heard that probably 15 times in the last couple days. No, we have running backs. Thomas Rawls is a damn good back. J.D. McKissick is a damn good back. C.J. Prosise might be a good back. And then there's Eddie Lacy. The backs are there. The problem is that they're getting smoked 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, or at best they can run into a brick wall right in front of them. Like that's all they got. Those are your options.
Right.
Get smoked or run into a brick wall. What are you going to do? I can't blame them that much. I can't even blame Eddie that much.
The point that demonstrated that, when they got down to the goal line on a couple of those drives where they settled for field goals, I'm yelling at my TV, okay, run the ball.
3 times.
And they handed off to Thomas Rawls. Thomas Rawls, instead of running into a dude that's much smaller, decides to kind of cut it back in and runs into some much bigger linebackers, which stopped him for 0 gain. There was a little bit of a hole there.
There wasn't.
Yeah, I think.
No, there wasn't. If he was going to string it out, he was going to get cut down. Like, you got to cut it up and make a hard cut towards the goal line. That's what you do. That's the Seahawks run game.
The Texans also have a solid run defense.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Exactly. I mean, that's what Thomas Rawls is trained to do in this offense. He plays the position perfectly. And on top of all of that, he is a tone-setting type back. This is a guy who had a great game last game, minus a fumble, which was fluky as hell. Thomas Rawls is still a hell of a running back. But for whatever reason, we won't get him into a groove early in a game. I don't think I saw him until late in the second quarter. But even if they had started him early in this game, I don't know if their strategy was to run at their best player, which great idea. That sounds like a really neat idea. I don't know that he would have had much success anyways.
The other place where he didn't have success was catching in the end zone, because he had another pass, an opportunity to catch a touchdown.
Tough.
It was Russell floated it a little bit too high.
Yeah, that's a bad throw.
I expect Thomas Rawls to come down with that, though.
I expect Russell Wilson to hit him in the numbers like a quarterback. That's a bad throw.
And I don't know what Russell was dealing with in front of him, if he had to put a little bit more air under it. It looked like he needed to put a little air under it with a dude coming at him. You can
still put air under it and have it hit him in the chest. You don't have to make him, make a Lynn Swan type grab in the end zone. He's a running back.
So Russell Wilson has a measly 4 touchdowns instead of 5, thanks to Thomas Rawls.
Not thanks to Russell throwing the ball poorly.
Yeah, no, I can't crush Russell Wilson this week. The only player,
it's just a bad throw.
The only player now to have 450 yards or more passing, 30 or more yards rushing, and 4 or more touchdowns in NFL history. And if you bump it down to 20 plus yards rushing and 3 plus TDs, the last guy to do it, the last guy to have 450.
Randall Cunningham?
Go back farther.
Fran Tarkenton.
Farther.
Y.A. Tittle.
1963 was the last time it was done.
Who the hell was that?
Cowboys quarterback Don Meredith.
Of course it was Don Meredith. I can't believe I missed that.
I can't believe it either. I thought you would have had that one locked and loaded.
Holy smokes. Yeah, Russell Wilson's a special player. Showed it in a nutshell there. I mean, this could be the start of the MVP candidacy, being now 5-2. With an offensive line that had been terrible for the beginning of the year, a run game that had been terrible for the beginning of the year. Yes, getting the help of good defense. But Was that not basically what Cam Newton dealt with a couple years ago? Minus the bad offensive line, he actually had a good one and a decent run game, and let the league on fire, and then won MVP. Like, Russell's starting to do that with all of these other problems. Russell could be the MVP at the end of the year.
He could be, and this would be the game where you point back to and say this was the beginning of his candidacy. Now, there's a few other guys out there who have been playing pretty well to start the season. Carson Wentz is one of the guys that comes to mind, with him playing in the Eagles. Only
Redheads
lost one
can't
game.
be MVP.
No,
sorry.
No, okay.
That's a rule somewhere.
Alex Smith goes from being check down Charlie to being a dude who can sling it down the field. I think he would get some votes.
I think he's leading the league in yards per attempt.
Yeah. Or
at least close to it.
It kind of makes you wonder about the alternate reality of the NFL season this year, too.
Yeah.
Now maybe Alex Smith will go back to being normal Alex Smith now that we have a left tackle.
No, because that continues the Bizarro universe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shoot.
No, Alex Smith will now just start throwing bombs only. That's what's going to happen. Just bombs only.
Bombs only. Alex bombs away Smith.
Their playbook will just have bombs only written on the front of it. Not the good plays, not the bad plays, just bombs
only. That sounds like my Madden playbook.
That'd be a good team name for the Pick'em League.
There you go. We're going to get into the Pick'em League. It was a good week for people in Pick'em.
No.
Well, not you, but for other people.
I just remembered to pick the Thursday game.
And in a way, it was a good week for you, Adam.
Yeah.
I'll get to that.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But, going back to the running game, we talked a little bit about this in the bonus show last week because Alex Collins, cut from the Seahawks, goes to the Ravens, has a great night on Thursday Night Football, and had some Seahawks fans wringing their hands. And then not only after Alex Collins having over 110 yards rushing in the game on Thursday night, then the Seahawks go out and have 5.
Yeah, you know what didn't cross my mind for 1 second watching the running game? Alex Collins.
You didn't wish you had Alex Collins?
No. Sorry. No, there was no. I hadn't thought about it for one instant until you just brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if Alex Collins had been on this team and we had tried running the ball with him, instead of totaling 5 yards, we would have totaled negative 15.
When you mentioned that in the bonus show that Alex Collins would have negative 50 rushing yards on this team if had he stayed here, I thought that was hyperbole.
No,
and then I watched Jadeveon Clowney tackle dudes in the backfield, and I thought that could be Alex Collins.
Yeah, I was just trying to speak truth to the matter. That's all I was trying to do.
I get it.
Negative 5,000 yards. Yeah,
it goes up every time.
Yeah, 0.
All right, well, let's talk about one other guy on the offense, Adam, that I think we should recognize. Now, Doug Baldwin, we talk about him enough. He clearly, as far as receivers go, he's the leading pass catcher for the Seahawks. But Paul Richardson.
Yeah, I don't even think Doug cares if we talk about him. I don't think he needs it. I think he's feeling pretty good about himself.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Yeah.
Paul Richardson, though, 4th year with the team, a guy that we had concerns about throughout his years about staying healthy. He is the guy in this game. 6 catches, 105 yards, gets 2 touchdowns. Not only the 2 touchdowns, but the big play down the middle of the field. Russell Wilson throws up the jump ball to him. He just yoink right in front of the defender to catch the ball, to set up the Seahawks, to get it to Tyler Lockett after that catch and set up the game-winning score. Big game for Paul Richardson.
I think there's only one person in this country happier today than I am, and that's Ross and Eureka. Because I'm super happy about the left tackle, but I know Ross is probably the biggest P. Rich fan that's ever been. Loves him.
Really?
He's a big P. Rich honk. So this has to make him so proud that a button about pops off his chest, just right off his shirt.
Yeah.
Boy, P. Rich just balled out, man. That's the guy we had saw on his college tape and thought that maybe somehow he could put that together in the NFL, has fought through all these injuries, and somehow, I don't know if they just KT tape his entire body before he goes out and plays now or what it is. I don't know how they hold him together. Maybe they found a new glue. I don't know, but somehow has managed to stay healthy. I'm knocking on wood right now because he is dynamic.
17 yards per reception on the season, 374 yards, 22 catches. already eclipsed his season high for any season with the Seahawks. Last year was his biggest season, 288 yards. So he had 271 his rookie season, and of course injured that second year with the team and only had one start. So this year, now with Curse out, he's kind of worked his way into that number 2, number 3 receiving role that we saw Curse, and now he's getting the jump balls that we saw going to Jermaine Curse in past years. With
better flair. Don't you think? I mean, I just, the style of it, it's got style points.
Sure. Yeah, the way he goes up, the way he moves around dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. You know, Curse would just kind of go up and, I mean, he didn't have a huge vertical or anything, but he would just somehow manage to high point it. Paul goes up and does something acrobatic.
Right.
It's really fun.
This was a fun game.
You know who else thinks football's fun, Brandon? A couple of guys that don't get much shine. A couple of guys that don't get a lot of balls thrown their way, but one is my man crush, Tanner McAvoy. Catches a 53-yard bomb. That was fun.
Lacey, the tail of the eye. Look out, here comes the blitz. Russell has time. He's going to throw.
Hey, I'm Russell Wilson, and I throw a sexy deep ball.
And the running underneath it is the big tight end down to the 10-yard line. No, I beg your pardon. It's McAvoy. He looks like a tight end.
He's got that kind of size.
Big Tanner McAvoy, the wide receiver, who had a drop a week ago. This time runs under a deep shot on a blitz. All go, and Russell just laid it up for 53 yards inside the 10, down to the Houston 7-yard line.
I'm not sure who ran the wrong route there, whether that was Darbo or McAvoy, but I kind of enjoy McAvoy cherry-picking Darbo.
Hey, he's a rookie.
I know that's mean. I know that's mean, but I do kind of enjoy it.
It happens.
And just like Paul Richardson tried to cherry-pick Baldwin in this game.
And thank goodness.
I know. I'm not even mad.
As long as one of the dudes catches it, I'm okay with it.
You know who the other guy who's excited, Brandon? A guy that doesn't get a lot of shine, and I'm sure you've got this queued up too. This can be a play that you can play. This can be a play that you can play. There's some eloquent podcasting for you right there. Trey Madden.
Wide receivers to either side and Russell under center. The Texans load up the line of scrimmage. Russell's going to throw over the top. Madden right down the middle. Trey Madden, 50, 40, 35, 30. They're chasing. They catch him at the 15-yard line. Who in the world expected the play fake and the fullback Trey Madden to run untouched right down the middle of the field and catches a perfect shot from Russell Wilson? It is a huge gain, and the Seahawks have it 1st and 10 at the Houston 12-yard line.
Yeah, nobody expected it because nobody even thought the 38 still played for the Seahawks by that point in the game. We'd all forgotten about Trey Madden.
Yeah, Trey who?
Right.
I'd forgotten about him so much, I didn't even bother to put his face on the milk carton.
Exactly.
I didn't even know he was gone. But he's back. There he was. That was a huge play. Yeah. Congratulations to him. Now, look, I'm not even mad that he got caught. I mean, he's a fullback. Like, I can't expect him to have the wheels to take that all the way to the house.
Oh, no.
Although there wasn't anybody around him for like 17 zip codes.
I have no idea where everybody in the Houston secondary was on that play. If they were all just hanging out on the sideline and they all had to find a way to converge into the center of the field. But, credit to Darrell Bevell there.
Bev had a good game. These are the games you got to say he had a good game because he did. He abandoned the run game, let Russ do his thing. It's almost like it's been said somewhere.
I feel like I've heard it. I'm not sure where.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll even come out of your own mouth at some point too, Brandon.
Maybe that's why it seems so familiar.
Yeah. Something that's not familiar, Brandon, the performance of this defense. We do have to talk about it. We have to talk about Deshaun Watson a little bit.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, as it turns out, Deshaun Watson, also pretty good. And we knew that coming into this game. Pete Carroll knew it coming into this game. Now, where we didn't give Watson enough credit, it was primarily based on historical factors. No rookie quarterback had come into CenturyLink Field and balled out the way Watson balled out against the Seahawks defense. And so you had the pressure of coming into Seattle. You had the pressure of playing against Legion of Boom, the Seahawks defensive line, and which Seahawks defensive line had a pretty good game. Michael Bennett, 2 sacks, 5 hurries. You also had Frank Clark with a monster game, 2 sacks, 7 hurries, 9 total pressures. Frank Clark applied pressure on 26.9% of his snaps, which puts him number 1 in the NFL this season, right ahead right ahead of the number 2 guy, Von Miller in week 7 against the Chargers, who had 2 sacks, 8 total pressures. It's pretty good. It's a guy to be ahead of.
Yeah, I think I recall saying something about Frank Clark having a play in 3-4 games ago that was Von Miller-esque, where he just ran right around. Oh, it was the Rams game. Ran right around their Whitworth. And Jared was mad at me. Like, oh, that's terrible. You can't say that. He's a big Broncos fan.
Yeah.
And no, I can't say that because now whatever Von Miller does, you have to call Frank Clark-esque because Frank Clark is playing at a higher level.
It's already got to that point.
Well, it's just where it's at. I mean, I'll make up the numbers. You just stated them.
That's true.
I didn't make that up. Like that's just the way it is. Yeah. The next step for this defensive line though is to close out and to get the sacks on those pressures.
Sure.
It does feel a little lacking in the sacks department.
We even got pressure up the middle in this game. Now, Watson, maybe not the guy where you can expect a whole lot of finishing, but I think, what did the Seahawks have? They had 5 sacks in this game, right?
Something like that.
So this game is not the game to point out and say the defensive line can do better. They did plenty well in this game. Interceptions, you had Earl Thomas with the interception, Richard Sherman, his first 2 interceptions of the season. Jaron Reed had a big game. He had 4 pressures inside, and that nearly doubled his production in terms of getting pressure up the middle. He had 5 defensive pressures coming into this game, and his performance this week puts him in the company of dudes like Fletcher Cox, Sheldon Rankins, and Ndamukong Suh, Geno Atkins, Dontari Poe. So that's the type of production that he was getting in this game.
Yet somehow Watson was still tearing us up.
Well, and a lot of that had to do with going after the corners, right? He showed no fear in going over the top, down the middle against Earl Thomas and Shaq Griffin. And he threw at Richard Sherman several
he went
times.
After Sherman.
Yeah.
And okay, so 2 things. I said coming into this game, you're going to find out why everybody else hates Russell Wilson.
Right.
Like having to play a guy like that. Because, yeah, he does a pretty decent Russell Wilson impersonation. No doubt about it. He was incredibly locked in. And he made some throws, especially a couple on Sherman. That first one to Hopkins where Sherman was draped all over him. On rhythm, on time, in the only spot it could be. Unbelievable. Then he throws a touchdown on Sherman. And where we talked about the Houston offense being creative, they had 2 or 3 fakes in the backfield, and they did that all day. They'd have multiple fakes, whether that was fake zone read, fake pitch, and then Watson would throw the ball. Or that was creative. They really got us that way, and that got Sherman out of position on one. And then he hits one on Sherman to Hopkins where other than shanking DeAndre Hopkins in the middle of the route so that he just falls down and dies, I don't know how you keep him from catching that. It was beyond perfect coverage.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do. I mean, really, the way that the defense was getting beat, they were playing great coverage most of the game. It was just an outstanding performance by Watson. And I really believe Bob McNair and his statements galvanized this team coming into this game. They were playing on a mission for one another. You could tell. They were focused, hyper-focused. I think that played a big part in the success of the offense on this day.
Well, another one of those plays, I think we need to give credit to DeAndre Hopkins, too, because it was just a screen pass from Watson. And Watson just beats the entire defense. And the blocking on it was set up well. He juked Cam Chancellor out of his shoes to make it upfield, and once he was past Cam, it was all over.
That was special. Sometimes you're going to get got by great guys, and that's exactly what happened there. I mean, holy cow.
72-yard touchdown by Hopkins, and that one stung a little.
Oh, man, so mad. I may have thrown things in my living room.
just maybe, huh?
Yeah, it's a legend. Interesting stat on the game that I thought, time of possession within about 30 seconds of both teams. That, to me, shows exactly how even this game was going down the stretch. I mean, because it was just so back and forth and such a duel. What a great duel. I think I'm going to enjoy watching these 2 young quarterbacks go after the next 5 years as all of these over-the-hill legends finally get the hell out of the game. Tom Brady, see you later. Phillip Rivers, see you later. Ben Roethlisberger, see you later. Eli Manning, see you later. Bye. I'm done with you guys. I've had enough. Yeah, I'm ready for the new guys.
Drew Brees can stick around, though. He's all right.
Yeah, he'll probably stick around and be a Bronco next year.
Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
That's probably happening. That was the big rumor at the Denver airport when I flew through there last weekend.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I like that rumor.
I don't know if I could see Drew Brees do his little shoulder pad tug in a Broncos uniform. That'd be weird.
I like Drew Brees too much to see him go to the Broncos.
Doesn't that sound like a John Elway move, though? We should save this for the pick show. I'm sorry. I took us off the rails.
We'll talk about that in the pick show. There was another trade this week to the 49ers that we need to talk about in the pick show.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about that.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. It's a good thing we still have a couple days before we can fully digest the fact that Garoppolo is going to be San Francisco's quarterback.
Yeah, I think another thing we'll have to talk in the pick show is just the amount of trades, in-season trades this year around the trade deadline. This feels unprecedented.
It's kind of been that way, though, even starting out the season, right? With the idea of switching from the 53, going from 90 down to 53, that made for a lot of shakeups earlier in the year. I don't know how that would impact it necessarily for now, but just kind of an odd year where you don't see the number of impactful trades happening at the trade deadline.
Yeah, in season. Yeah, that's very basketball-esque, but definitely not something you've seen in the NFL traditionally. So I'm just really excited that John Schneider's at the head of the curve of this and, brought us somebody who plays the position of left tackle, like knows how to do it. He's been good at it for a long time. Dude, problem solved. The problem freaking solved.
And Brown was the guy that you looked at, out of all the names that were kind of thrown around out there, right? You heard Cordy Glenn from Buffalo. You heard, they brought in Brandan Albert. Those guys they're good. I mean, Brandon Albert, Pro Bowl player.
Duane Brown. He would have been a year thing.
Yeah. Duane Brown, though, a guy who's played at an All-Pro level.
Yes. And has done it for multiple years.
Yeah. All-Pro in 2012, 3-time Pro Bowler. And we saw that he's not done.
He's not even close to done. That's the really cool part. I'm just really imagining this line coming together towards the end of the year, and that left side of the line in particular, when you'll end up having Brown, Jokel, and Britt. That's going to be pretty good. That's going to be about as good as we've had in about 2-3 years.
Well, and this does lead us into the game against Washington, because there still are some questions on the offensive line. Oh, you want to talk about that?
I'm still such in a glow about the game and this trade that I'd forgotten about Washington coming to town.
Yeah.
That's
still happening. And Posick, pretty good in the passing game. He played the full game at left guard, filling in for Jokel, and only had 2 pressures in this game. No sacks. Not real stellar in the run game, as Pete Carroll pointed out in post game. But it does bring the question now: is Posick going to be the guy to stay in there at left guard? Do you see Odiombo potentially move inside now? Or is Posick have that backup job kind of, is it his now until Jokel comes back?
Might be his until Jokel comes back. I mean, we're only talking another week or 2, right?
Tough to know what Jokel's recovery is going to be. Right, yeah.
They said 3 to 4 weeks, so I'm taking them at their word on it. But, I mean, when Jokel comes back, I mean, could you end up seeing Posick on the right side, right guard?
It could make it interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Glowinski obviously is somebody that the Seahawks do not believe in anymore. Abushi's okay, and Effetti single-handedly still kills drives with penalties just for the fun of it.
But you can handle having one weakness. You can handle Effetti being the one guy that you kind of shrug your shoulders and go, okay, he's still going to get there. But I think what you said makes a lot of sense with Abushi being on a 1-year contract, with Posick being the guy on his rookie deal, under contract for a few more years. It seems to make more sense that if he is the type of talent that you want to build the offensive line with, you find a spot for him at one of the guard spots.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess maybe you could make that same argument for left guard with Jokel being on a 1-year deal.
Well, that's one of my questions coming into this game. Now, historically, Seahawks versus Washington. I like to look at this. Historically, the Skins were a team that Mike Holmgren and that era of Seahawks, they always seemed to be battling, right? In the playoffs, in the regular season. Every year it seemed like this was the team that they were playing. But now, this is just the 3rd time these two teams have faced in the Pete Carroll era. First time, lost in CenturyLink. The Washington came in, beat the Seahawks 23-17. That was back in 2011. But Russell Wilson won the last 2, 24-14 in the 2013 playoffs against Robert Griffin III, and then 27-17 a win in Landover, Maryland in October 2014. So Seahawks, Russell Wilson, they've got the Redskins under control.
Oh, and this defensive line is going to have the Redskins under control, man. Like, is it going to be, I hope for Kirk Cousins' sakes, it's like partly sunny with like a few clouds, because he's going to be on his back the entire game looking up at the sky. And I hope there's a few clouds he can look at that he can maybe like, oh, that looks like an elephant, or, just something, something for him to look at. He's going to be on his back all game long. Frank Clark will eat their lunch in this game. Not only that, I mean, Dwight Freeney may even come out and have another game. He might be able to string together two of them. The defensive line could really cause havoc in this game with all the injuries on the offensive line for the Redskins. An offensive line that wasn't great to begin with. On the road in the clink.
You have Brandan Scherf, their right guard, who was out of the game due to injury. He's in question about whether or not he's going to play this weekend. You have their big left tackle, Trent Williams. He sat out the last game, and it sounds like he's unlikely to play. He has a bone bruise and ligament damage in his right knee, and their backup left tackle even had to come out of the game in this game. So they had some rookie that they played off the street. If that dude is out there against Dwight Freeney, you can bet he's going to be seeing some Freeney spin moves this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, with as close as last game was, this team, the Washington Redskins, do not match up with the Seahawks well in any way. There's no way that they're going to go ahead and move the ball through the air like they did, like the Texans did a week before. What, with the scary weapons of Doxson and Terrell Pryor? Does that really scare you? Sounds like Jordan Reed could be hurt. That's the one weapon you look at and you go, yeah, he's a heck of a player, but I don't even know if he's going to play.
No, because the coach already this week, Jordan Reed was the one guy who he essentially already ruled out, along with Matt Ioannidis, the defensive tackle.
There you go.
In the middle. So those two guys, the coach sounded pretty certain that he and Jordan Reed wouldn't play, which leaves at tight end Vernon Davis at tight end for Washington. So he can have some flashbacks to Cam Chancellor.
I was going to say, all we need to do this week is for every 12 is to just tweet a picture of Cam Chancellor to Vernon Davis. Just do that.
Ooh, that sounds
He
that
might
sounds
not
mean.
even show up to the stadium. And it could just be his headshot. Like, you don't have to show the hit or anything. Just Cam's face.
Now, see, I don't like that. I think we should now, Luke Wilson had the idea that we need to be tweeting at Jimmy Graham and Doug Baldwin about getting them onto the Techno Thursday short shorts movement. Yeah.
No, and more no, and all the no's. No, absolutely not. Luke Wilson did something boneheaded in this last game, too, and it's because he's worn a man bun before. Screwed up his whole deal.
Screwed him up.
That's what you get. It's karma. Don't wear man buns. Don't wear skinny jeans. Don't wear short shorts. Come on, man. Have some class. Luke Wilson needs to drop this, man. If he wants to fight, I'll fight. I don't even care.
I like the fact that Jordan Roos pointed out that the short shorts that they wear are actually tailored specifically to be that short.
Ugh.
Like
they pay money for that garbage?
They use a Sharpie to show where the equipment guys to cut them off and actually have them hemmed.
Look, if I'm the equipment guys, just for the sake of mankind, like just the male gender, I think that you strike. You strike. You refuse to cut them off at that stupid level.
You're as an equipment manager on the cusp of a potential Super Bowl season.
Yeah.
You're going to strike.
Hell yeah, you got to have standards, Brandon. You got to have morals. There's got to be a line. Short shorts, skinny jeans, man buns. Oh, and dudes wearing clogs. That's the line in the sand. Can't have it. You know it's true.
Maybe equipment managers are fans of the short shorts movement. You don't know.
Then they need to be fired. Like, I don't call for people to lose their job, but that's a rare case.
that's where you okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, there's a line, man.
I don't know. Have you seen Russell Wilson's thighs? Yes, you have, because he's been wearing short shorts.
And it's wrong. Capital W, capital R, capital ONG. Wrong.
I feel like we should get back to this game.
Short shorts are an abomination.
Some notable players on defense for Washington. Ryan Kerrigan, Junior Gillette. They've been good players for a long time. Those are their two primary pass rushers. Josh Norman at corner. You got Kendall Fuller in the slot. He's a second-year guy, third-round pick. He has 2 interceptions on the season. Apart from that, there's just not a lot of guys on the defense where you say, yeah, I'm worried about that guy. Josh Norman, probably the one guy, right? The Pro Bowler, All-Pro of the bunch.
Definitely a talented player. I don't know that just one corner can swing a game for you. I mean, maybe. I like Kerrigan's game a lot. I've always thought he's a fine player. He's going to have to run into Duane Brown now, though. So good luck with that. I wanted to go through and look at all the matchups and everything, but one, I was still basking in the glow of these last couple days, and two, I really don't have a lot of interest in looking at Washington Redskins second string players.
There's a lot too, and I mentioned Trent Williams and Brandan Scherf, but there's other guys too. Spencer Long, one of their guards, says he's uncertain if he's going to play against the Seahawks. You have one of their backup tackles, Ty Nsekhe.
Yeah, that guy
has an abdominal injury. He's questionable.
He always has those. I know a lot about that guy. He's always having abdominal problems.
Oh, yeah? You know how to pronounce his name then?
Oh, yeah. Ty. Nailed it.
You got TJ Clemmings, an offensive lineman who's injured. Every dude on the offensive line seems to be injured.
Yeah, you'd think I'd have sympathy for a team having a bad offensive line going into a game, but turns out I don't. I really don't. Yeah. And especially then you got to take this all the way back to the Big Ten duel between Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson. These guys have dueled in college, and there's still some people out there who think Kirk Cousins is the better quarterback. I need Russell Wilson to show everybody exactly what's going on here.
Kirk Cousins is one of the most anti-clutch guys in the NFL. How many games has he had the ball with 2 minutes left and thrown a pick to ice a game? I want to know that stat because I think Kirk Cousins he has, I think, 7 fourth quarter comebacks in his career. 7. Compare that to 19 for Russell Wilson. Dudes have been in the NFL for the same amount of time, but Cousins was backing up RG3 for a little bit. But
yeah, Cousins is anti-stat.
His 7 fourth quarter comebacks. Do you know which former Seahawks quarterback who he's tied with?
Jim Zorn.
He's actually behind Jim Zorn. Jim Zorn had 9.
Okay.
Playing for a pretty rough Seahawks team, if you think about it, back in those early days, too.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
He's tied with former Seahawks quarterback John Freeze.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
One of those 90s Seahawks quarterbacks.
Yeah, he has Montana ties, correct?
That's why his name's so, he sticks with you.
Oh, absolutely.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, John Freeze.
There he is. Tied with Kirk Cousins in stats.
Well, the one thing that I would watch for in this game, much like in the Rams game where you had Jared Goff dumping it off to Todd Gurley, Chris Thompson for the Skins has been Cousins' favorite target out of the backfield. 31 catches, 442 yards, almost double what Thompson's had on the ground. That's the one thing. And so having had prepared for that already against the Rams, I would expect them to see that in this game. Terrell Pryor, I know I'm not worried about him. You're not worried about him, Adam. He's been the Eddie Lacy signing of the offseason for the Skins. Fans calling for him to be benched. I didn't see fans calling for Doxson to be benched, and he's their second-year dude.
Yeah, he hasn't been great.
Pryor, fine. He's on a 1-year contract. You can dump him after the year, but you kind of want to hope to develop Doxson, and you want to have patience with some of the younger receivers, I feel like, especially the early round picks.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I thought it was just crazy of them to get rid of Deshaun Jackson, to get rid of Pierre Garçon in this last offseason. And everybody thought that somehow they got better doing that. This is exactly the Redskins team that I had kind of thought they'd be at the beginning of the year.
Instead, you have Jamison Crowder as their leading wide receiver. I guess Vernon Davis would be their leading pass catcher, but at the wideout position, that goes to Crowder.
Good luck with that, Redskins. I think with those sort of, the ilk of their receivers and where they are right now, I think you can see this Seattle secondary be able to focus, like you said, on those checkdowns, the little things that Cousins like to do that way. Even with potentially without Earl Thomas, this will be where we see the Bradley McDougall come in and
the Bradley McDougall.
That's right.
Yeah, because it sounds like Earl is going to be out for this game.
Yeah, apparently I'm Bradley McDougall's hype man now. That's who I am. Starting at free safety, the Bradley McDougall. Yeah, so I mean, we kind of had a plan for when we have those 2 to 3 games that we miss of either Cam or Earl. And this is where McDougall comes in, a starter quality player that No, he's not going to be Earl Thomas, but in a game with receivers like this, I think he can do a good enough Earl Thomas impersonation to where we can really shut these guys down.
Well, overall, I'm looking forward to the Seahawks having their second game in the row at the Clink. Then they'll go on the road the following week, and then they'll come back and play Atlanta Monday Night Football. So a nice homestand for the Seahawks in this month here.
Yes, absolutely. This should be a stretch where the Seahawks pile up some wins. I'm really looking forward to a few of the teams that. What are the teams here on this home stretch, Brandon? How does this look like coming up for them?
After the Skins, they take on the Arizona Cardinals. That will be on Thursday night, November 9th. And then they have another kind of mini bye right after that Thursday night game where they don't play until the following Monday and play against the Atlanta Falcons.
That's going to be really fun, too.
And then it's down to the 49ers on the 26th. So right after Thanksgiving, they'll be in Santa Clara and playing the winless San Francisco 49ers.
We could legitimately be at 9 wins by the end of November. Like that's in range.
It's in range. And then you have a stretch of games where you have some more difficult teams because you're taking on the Eagles.
That's the one I want to see.
You have the Jaguars. You have the Rams again.
Yeah, I'm ready for that, too.
And then the Cowboys will be getting Ezekiel Elliott back a couple games before the Seahawks play them on Christmas Eve.
That's fine. They still do they get any secondary players back from last year's team or the team before?
I think they'll be done.
Oh, okay. So it's still the same secondary for Dallas?
Yeah.
Looking forward to that game, too. I can't wait for the Eagles game, man. That and the Rams game. Maybe the Rams game even more. And I'll tell you why. Every power ranking I look at, they've got the Rams ahead of us, who are A, behind us in the division, and B, have lost to us at home. They're home. Well, I guess whatever they call that stadium. There's people that come there. I think they call them fans. Like a few of them anyways. Maybe there's just family. But to me, that's hilarious. It is hilarious. Just because everybody loves offensive football, the Rams are higher than us in the power rankings. What a joke show. Do better.
Oh, my gosh. NFL.com. Well, we were onto this earlier. As listeners were tipping us off, the idea that NFL.com, being an LA-based agency, they really want to be behind the Rams this year.
Yeah, the NFL as a league is desperate for these LA teams to succeed there because they didn't just bring one to LA, they brought two to a fan base that has never really fully supported the NFL. I don't know if you knew this, Brandon, but we've tried NFL in LA before, a couple times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But no, owners wanted to keep getting them checks. So now we've got 2 teams in LA. Awesome.
There you go.
So they're trying real hard to push that. So yeah, of course you can have the Seahawks push all the way down in your power rankings, or you can just be, somebody like Chris Sims who can't seem to figure out where to put the Seahawks rightfully and has them still out of the top 10 of all teams in the NFL. Like I can't name more than one team you could legitimately say is better than them in the NFC. And He's got him at 11, 18 last week and 11 this week. Come on, man. What are you doing? Why do you hate us so much?
I thought I heard him talking about how he was going to have to rethink his position now with Duane Brown coming to the team.
Well, thank God there's something that smacks some sense into him. He's been needing to rethink this for like weeks.
Well, maybe this is his potential out, too, to allow himself to boost him back up to where they should be.
Oh, he couldn't just do it on the courage of his conviction? He needed cover? Is Duane Brown going to give him the cover to backpedal on what he really thought?
Not that power rankings even matter at one iota.
Well, they matter a little. It's fun to talk about.
It is fun to talk about.
Plus, we're months away from list season, Brandon. So I needed a list. I needed something.
Yeah, the list of rankings is the one thing that we can look toward during the season.
I was jonesing a little bit.
Well, I'll bring up another list to talk about after the break, along with some new members of the flock, and of course, some do better and better at life.
All right.
The Seahawkers are the official booster club of the Seattle Seahawks. Go to Seahawkers.org to find a chapter near you. I want to mention the military Seahawkers this year. We are raising funds and food for the Maple Valley Food Bank. there in the Seattle area. So if you have any canned food, if you're a member of the military Seahawkers, bring that food by our tailgate. If you want to arrange a donation, you can let me know. You can let Tracy Williams know. And we will be, that's our plan this holiday season, is to collect food for the Maple Valley Food Bank.
Very cool, man. It always feels good to, give a little during the holiday season, no doubt.
Well, I mentioned I wanted to bring up a list after the break, and I want to bring up the list of NFL receiving yardage leaders, Adam.
Okay.
Because it's important to me. We've talked about this bet we have going with the Rams podcast.
Right. I need a bet update. Where are we? Or where are you, more importantly?
Yeah, it's actually looking really good, because now we're through the first 8 weeks of the season. The Rams have had their bye. The Seahawks have had their bye. And now we have an accurate picture of how things are looking through this point of the season. Fortunately, both players have stayed healthy, so we don't have to have our bet sullied by injury, much like yours was last year with Todd Gurley and Thomas Rawls. But now, Cooper Kupp for the Rams up against Tyler Lockett for the Seahawks. 121 yards against the Texans puts him at his number 2 game. Last year was his biggest game, 130 yards receiving against the Rams in that 24-3 win toward the end of the season. And I just wanted to point out that, yes, our bet is for total all-purpose yards, but Tyler Lockett now ahead of Kupp in the receiving yard standings.
So what you're saying is that Tyler Lockett is the third option in the Seahawks offense at best. Has the same amount of receiving yards as Cooper does, being the number 1 option in the Rams offense?
I don't know if he's the number 1 option.
He's the number 1. Who's the number 1?
Yeah, it's not Robert Woods.
And it's not Sammy Watkins.
That guy needs to be put on a milk carton, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So 345 yards receiving on the year for Tyler Lockett at this point. 316 yards for Kupp on this year. Yeah, 42 targets. He's the number 1. Although only 23 receptions.
Yeah, that's because Kupp stinks. He's overrated.
I mean, he's a rookie. He may end up being better than I expected. I'll give him that.
Kupp's okay.
He's all right.
Yeah. And I'm only using one of his names from here on out.
Because we have to balance out the media tendency to use both his first and last name. We have to do that.
Mm-hmm. I kind of just want to call him Tin Cup.
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
I wouldn't associate Cooper Kupp with Tin Cup.
That's a good point. Because it's a great movie.
So
I'm
stop thinking about that. But Robert Woods is the number 1 target. 44 targets for the Rams, 27 receptions. But that's not the guy that you think of as your number 1.
Well, it shouldn't be, but it is because, Rams.
Right.
So, but they're better than us, so it's fine.
Yeah, number 2 in the power rankings. Enjoy that power ranking spot as your number 2 in the NFC West.
Exactly. Yeah, that shows you how topsy-turvy that stuff is. Amazing.
Well, let's talk about our flock, because we had some Flocktimus Maximus worthy donations this week.
What?
We have 3 new members of the flock. Oh, yeah. Good story that I want to share with everybody this week. This is fun. But before we get there, I need to mention the fact, Young Choi, he sent us 500 Seahawkers podcast patches in the mail this past week. And so I'm giving him the Flocktimus Maximus recognition for this week, just based on the sheer number of patches that he donated for the show. This is going to go in everybody who is in the flock at the $5 level or higher. We talked about in the past how we don't have necessarily a thing to go with that particular level of support for the show. Mm-hmm. Now you're going to get a patch, a Seahawkers podcast patch on the base of the patch, Adam. This is a shout out to you.
Yes.
It says, I'm a little flocker.
Love it. I love it. When I was up in Kalispell the other day, you happened to pass a few of those along. And just so Young knows, I'm going to put that on my my lounging around the house, like pajama pants. Like it's going to be perfect. Because I did cut a little hole in them, and it's going to patch that up perfect. And it's going to look cool. It's going to be in the exact right spot it needs to be. I'm very excited to put that on there. I only have one question. You have to sew those on there? How do they attach? Like, what do you do? I've never been a patch guy, so I don't know.
Okay, I will reach out to Young to find out exactly how, if they're heat transfer patches, because I know that's a thing. Okay. But I appreciate the fact that you're using your patch to its namesake by actually patching a hole.
Yeah, exactly. The patch is absolutely. That's the way it's got to go.
So a huge thanks to Young and for everybody who has supported the show in the past. I'm going to have to find a way. I'm going to bring some out. So if you're going to meet up with us and hang out, I know, Adam, I know you won't be there for sure Saturday night, but I know
game time decision, man.
Yeah, game time decision for Adam. But I'll be hanging out with our friends from our Aussie friends who are coming up and our UK friends who are coming over. So a lot of, and then anybody locally who wants to come too, just let me know. And we're planning on get together Saturday night. And then Sunday before the game, we have a tailgate with the military Seahawkers. And then Sunday after the game, we're meeting up at one of my favorite pizza places. So
yes. Yeah. I definitely won't be there Saturday. I can for sure say that because we'll have to do at least 12 or 14 hours on Saturday just to get this in range.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not going to work 12 or 14 hours and then drive to Seattle.
Kind of hoping for a ride possibility, but we'll see.
Well, yeah. I mean, if not, I just got to talk to Jared, make sure he's going to
also drive.
Down with taking 2 cars.
Yeah.
I'll build a mill. I don't care.
There you go. Another one to mention, Daniel Weinholtz, who works for Buck Knives, donated a knife to the Pick'em League, and it's the 75th anniversary edition of the 119 special, and it's engraved 2017 Seahawkers Podcast Pick'em League champ.
It's awesome, man. I'll tell you what, Crocodile Dundee, he'd call that a knife.
He would call that a knife.
Yeah, it's legit. I'm really excited about that. So big shout out and thanks to Buck Knives and to Dan. Really appreciate the way you guys support the show. I can't wait to have that knife. It's gonna look great at my house.
Well, you're gonna have to get past a few other people in the Pick'em League, Adam, because as I look at the leaderboard, we have a new leader at the top of the leaderboard.
What?
PBR.
There's been a change?
Yeah, PBRU Serious.
I don't know. Are we serious? Did you really take the lead, PBRU Serious?
PBRU Serious seriously took the lead this week, and a big reason for that, a perfect week of picks for PBRU Serious.
Yeah, that can't be serious.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's fishy. I know I say it every week when somebody does good that it doesn't seem to add up because it's more than mine, but it doesn't. It doesn't seem to add up because it's more than mine.
PBRU Serious in the number 1 spot with 1,130. Altruis, 1,110, tied with the Blue and Green Mile. And in the 4th spot, I Don't Read So Good, 1060. that was funny.
That one's going to make me die.
A good Jaron Reed reference.
I Don't Read So Good. Oh, fantastic. Well done.
And Cabana Boys, 1030.
That's awesome, man. God, you guys are hilarious. We have the best listeners in the world, man.
It's true.
It's not even close. If there was ever an Anchorman fight between podcast listeners, we would crush people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
I have no doubts about that.
I would love to take on rival podcasts of other teams with, our dudes.
Next week, I want to hear what everybody's weapon of choice would be.
Yeah.
I want that.
Similar to Anchorman, what would be your weapon of choice that you bring to the fight with other rival team podcasts?
Yes, I will. I will think on that as well. I'm leaning towards, and I can't remember exactly the name of the weapon, but there's a sword. They call it a sword that is from India, and it's basically like, I don't know, 2-3 feet long, but it's really flexible, like a bamboo blade,
like a scimitar.
It's more like a sword / whip. You kind of whip it all around and you just slice people up like they're just pieces of sushi. That'd be my choice right there. I don't know what it's called, but that would be the bomb. That's my weapon of choice.
I'd go broadsword.
I see you as a broadsword guy.
Yeah,
that fits. Yeah, kind of fits your truck guy persona you got going on now.
I should hang a broadsword. You know where most people hang their shotgun? I should hang a broadsword back there.
That would be hilarious. If I ever saw somebody running around with a broadsword in their gun rack, I would probably laugh my ass off.
I feel like
I might buy you one for Christmas just to make this happen.
And it fits my personality more.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. It's like, still don't mess with me, but I've got a sense of humor about it.
Right.
Yeah.
19 people with perfect picks this week in our Seahawkers Podcast Pick'em League.
That was hacked.
Yeah.
I don't know, 19 for reals. That's impressive, people. I only ended up with 90 points this week. I also forgot to pick the Thursday game. That was my downfall. But yeah, apparently the league is starting to make some more sense.
Yeah. Bullbuster, PBR, you serious? I don't read so good. Torpedoes away. I like that one. Hotlanta Hawk, Cabana Boys, the Blue and Green Mile. Next page. These people don't have their usernames. So congrats to those people that properly address their name situation. Ballstar 1962. That's the other one. And Mr. Poopotamus. I know Mr. Poopotamus doesn't change the username, but I got to respect the username.
Absolutely. It's a solid one. Yeah, so all of you that didn't change your username, Bombs Only is still available.
Bombs Only.
Yeah.
To describe the Chiefs playbook.
Could almost be our playbook, too.
It's kind of looking that way.
Yeah.
I like it more than the bad plays playbook.
They feel like they belong in the good plays playbook. Bombs
exactly.
Only.
Yeah.
Maybe there could just be like a tab like in the good playbook just labeled Bombs Only. So I'd like to have a few other things.
Still haven't welcomed our new members of the flock. Before we do, I want to recognize Mark Martella. He had 2 one-time donations this week. One for $5.
Awesome.
This came in last week, and then one that came in today for $50.
Whoa!
And he explains why.
Okay.
Actually, he had a lengthy email last week saying that he missed putting in his picks in the Pick'em League.
Right.
He felt bad. He was sending in the $5 donation as I don't know, some kind of penance.
Mea culpa.
Penance for missing the previous week picks, I guess. And sent a note in, and it was right after the show, so he didn't get to read it. But now, today, he sends in a $50 donation and explains why. Says, "Hey, Brandon, look at that. From a shameful missed week to hitting every pick for the week. Perfecto."
Wow.
Being an Australian, I have to use our weight units because we don't work in pounds or inches, but I hit all of the 1-point spread bets this week, and I made a metric catfish ton of money.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, Mark says, going to kick some your way to celebrate for sure. And now he says, now that is to me due to the good karma. Hakra, perhaps. From my apology and my self-punishment.
Yes.
Always excited for the next pod from Mark at MW Martella on Twitter. If you want to hit him up, your congrats. Big win for Mark. And he kicks back a little portion our way. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I love that. I'm really excited that he got a metric crap ton of money out of it. And what I like is that he gave us what would it be, like a metric kilograms worth?
Sure.
Like, that was nice.
Yeah.
That was really nice. So I think this is a great example for all the other flockers out there in the fact that if you have something going wrong in your life and like your hawker's just not quite right, all you have to do is donate to the show and
good things apparently happen.
From worst to first, just like Mark did. Look at what came his way. Like, you got great picks and fortune. Like literal money.
Yeah, I don't know what we did to take credit for to make it happen, but
you know what we did.
But it's clear to me that it worked.
What we did.
Yeah, okay. Well, welcoming some new members of the flock. In at 1212, Thomas Dillamuth. Thomas, welcome to the flock. Welcome to the Ring of Honor.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Thomas. Welcome to the flock. You are indeed a little flocker.
And getting one of those new podcast patches, as I mentioned earlier. $5 pledge from Alex Ray Snyder. Alex, welcome to the flock. Next up, $3 pledge from Scott A. Romani. Says, just join the flock at $3 in honor of Russell Wilson's unreal game this week. Can't wait for this week's show. I'm excited to hear your reaction to the game and trade. Go Hawks. Thank you, Scott, and welcome to the flock. And a welcome to the flock to Michael Burt in for bonus episodes and stickers.
Awesome, man. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Somebody had asked us a little while back as a count to, we're trying to get to 300 flockers. And when we get to 300 flockers, as long as I'm not at the mill, we will do a post-game reaction.
Yes.
So we're hoping for 300, or not hoping. That's what we're going to get to. And we're at 248 I looked it up this morning. Or maybe it's more now, because I think there was a couple that came in.
Yeah, we had 2 that just come in. We're at 249. And we're also at the end of the month. So whatever, with the way Patreon works, people end up dropping off at the end of every month. It's weird that way. So,
credit cards expire, like that people put in, or, maybe they're just like, yeah, that's all I could afford. And so I have to drop out for a little while.
Right. And
which
that's
is
fine.
Totally cool. Yeah.
But that's the number that we use. And so as soon as it hits 300, that's when we're doing our post-game reaction shows.
Yes. So we're close, folks. 51. All we need is 51 little flockers. Like that's it. And you're going to have more Seahawks podcast goodness. Could you imagine how fun a post-game show would have been after this last game?
That would have been fun.
Yeah, I know. I was looking around for stuff to read and to listen to and things like that because I was so excited, as a fan. You know how much there was out there?
Not much.
Not much. Yeah, it was disappointing.
But you also had a long day at the mill. So it was like you're saying, if you don't have that, this last game would have been tough to do. It would have been a bummer if we had reached 300 and we couldn't have done a show after that game.
I probably would have found a way to do this. I may have zombied my way through it, but I think I would have found a way.
Okay. Well, I could have carried you, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna lean on you.
Well, also thanks to Annalisa for upping her pledge from 6 to 12. Samuel
awesome.
Upped his pledge from $3.89 to $12.31. So I don't know if he went from being a Doug Baldwin fan to being a Camp Chancellor fan, but we appreciate the raise from.
Does he have to distinguish? Can he be a fan of both?
He could be a fan of both.
Okay.
And Emilio got into the Ring of Honor because we had a couple people move up to. Annalisa moved up to the 12-12 level. Opened up a spot on the active 53. Emilio snagged it, and he's in the Ring of Honor now as well. So
awesome.
And,
welcome. Yes.
And Emilio sent a note.
Okay.
He titled it Dilly Dilly.
Dilly Dilly.
Dilly Dilly. Giving you guys a raise because, of course, you deserve it. If anyone else says different, then they're clearly insane. Glad to finally be a part of the Ring of Honor as well. I got to get the full experience of what that was like with this week's game against Houston, and thankfully I had that because, unfortunately, what was probably the most exciting game to watch all week wasn't even broadcasted where I live. I know. Wasn't even broadcast here in Montana either, Emilio, so... Yeah, we understand. Yeah. And he says, also, I think I finally found the right Pick'em League group to join, so I can't wait to hopefully hear my team name announced in one of the podcasts. Pop, Drop, and Lockett is on the rise to take the group over. Keep up the good work, guys, and go Hawks.
Go Hawks. And solid name.
Pop, Drop,
and Lockett. I hope to announce that. Yeah, that's creative as all heck. I was actually speaking to another little flogger about the Ring of Honor, and it was her first game amongst the Ring of Honor. Didn't realize how much back and forth went on, like throughout the whole game. How much people talk, and how that's such a cool community. Like, especially if you're not in Seattle, you don't have many friends that like football, let alone the Seahawks. Like, you have this group of people to go back and forth with, and to talk the game out as you go through, and help alleviate the stress of it. So. It's pretty dang cool.
And post a lot of memes. We post a lot of GIFs and memes.
Yeah, the GIF game has gotten strong. I hate emojis, but I do tend to like GIFs. I enjoy the GIFs.
Yeah.
And I like that you finally got on board and started calling them GIFs instead of peanut butter.
Yeah, GIFs.
Right.
Just going by
GIFs.
what the dude called them. But clearly it's an uphill battle that even the dude who invented them isn't going to win. So
no, he's a loser.
Yeah.
That might have been a little harsh. He might be a fine guy. He might be a fine guy. He's not a little flocker. I know that.
That could be. Well, he hasn't reached out to us if he is.
No.
All right. Well, thanks to all the new members of the flock. We have a new review too before we get to our Do Better and Better at Life.
All right. Did they make fun of me? Like, is this going to be okay?
Let's see. I don't think it's critical of you, but I do see your name being mentioned.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I was fine either way. I just wanted to be mentally prepared. You know?
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a positive review because it's titled Proud Member of the Little Flockers.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. We just never know. You never know.
From ALM BFA 2004 says, I started listening to this podcast a couple of years ago and was always enlightened by Brandan and Adam's insights, banter, and true fandom. Having grown up in the Pacific Northwest, they remind me of family in Montana, and that instantly endeared them to me further. Last year, I finally took the plunge and donated, which has allowed me to join the Ring of Honor on Facebook. Since then, this has become more than a podcast. It's a community of fellow 12s who watch the game together, share Hawks info, interact with the guys, and joke with each other. It, with the podcast, has so enhanced my lifelong love of the Seahawks. I heartily recommend both this podcast, and once you're hooked, consider donating and getting in the flock. It's well worth it. Go Hawks. Annalisa. That's who it is.
Oh, it was Annalisa. Well, fantastic. If I would have known it was Annalisa, I know it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's awesome. And we love having her as a member of the flock. And not only that, but a member of the Ring of Honor. She's valued there.
Absolutely. No, she's upped her posting game, too, here recently.
I was going to say, her Ring of Honor game is strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Annalisa. Thanks to all our new members of the flock. Adam, let's get on to some do better and better at life.
All right, man. Why don't you go up?
I'm going to kick us off this week because my do better is for fatherhood.org. And that sounds kind of weird, but I was watching Monday Night Football last night, and there's a commercial. It's a cute commercial, except for one aspect that I really have a problem with. I'm going to tell you what that is.
Okay.
But watching Monday Night Football, the fatherhood.org commercial comes on. And if you haven't seen it, it's a dude from WWE, Roman Reigns. And, you know, big,
no idea who that is.
Just big hulking dude, tattooed. And he's doing like the I'm a Little Teapot with his daughter. You haven't seen this commercial?
No.
Okay. Well, maybe you will.
No, I watch TV on the internet, man. Like, okay. I don't get a lot of the commercials.
Yeah. Well, and that part of it's cool. Here's a dude spending time with his daughter. And the whole point of the commercial is, I think the tagline is, it only takes a moment to make a moment. So, spending time with your kids, doing the stuff that they like. It's a good message. It's a great message for a commercial.
Love it.
Now, the one part, the aspect of it that is so weird to me.
Okay.
As he's doing the I'm a Little Teapot, there's this male lady who has absolutely no words in the commercial.
Wait a second. Is that an oxymoron? A male lady?
A male carrier, a female male carrier.
I was like, a male lady? How does that work? I don't know.
No. There's a female mail carrier that's walking by.
There we go. Okay.
And she's watching him through the window.
That's creepy.
It's like these Peeping Jane like cutaways of her checking out the dude in the window as he's doing the I'm a Little Teapot and flexing. It's the weirdest thing. Like, if you just completely take out those cutscenes of Peeping Jane, mail lady, it's a fine commercial.
Instead, they like add this stalkery kind of vibe to it from your mail carrier.
Stalkery, weird vibe that's added to this commercial. And for fatherhood.org to put that in there, do better.
Yeah, do better. I'm looking out my window right now, looking to see if my mail carrier is out there, like, checking me out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little weirded out now.
Yeah. Look, the Ad Council does good things. They have Smokey Bear, only you can prevent wildfires.
Yeah.
They have a lot of other ads that they do good work with. Cut the mail carrier out of this commercial.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Speaking of commercials that annoy me, like, this isn't my do better, but it could be. I mean, does everybody agree that the Verizon guy is the most punchable guy in all of commercials?
The new Verizon guy or the old Verizon guy who's now like the turncoat?
I respect him for stabbing Verizon in the back. The turncoat guy, like, I enjoy that. I mean, he's annoying, but I respect he's got a dark side, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, the current Verizon guy, he's just so punchable. I want to punch him so bad. He annoys the hell out of me.
Is he the mic drop guy?
He's the mic drop guy, and he walks in Odell Beckham's press conference, and he's like, whatever the heck he says. I mean, it's something that has nothing to do with it, Like, I can't
lame.
stand him. Yeah, everything he says is lame.
I can get with you on that.
Anyway, all right. I don't know if my real do better.
Dumb commercials.
That's just something that was on my chest. I had to get
If you
off.
haven't looked up the Roman Reigns commercial, just watch it and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because it's so out of place and wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you happen to see the Verizon guy walking on the street, punch him in the face for me.
but don't.
Well, unless you do. So my do better this week is for the national sports media as a whole after the Seahawks-Houston game. I don't know if you noticed, Brandon, but two quarterbacks dueled it out in CenturyLink this last Sunday. One's been around for a while. Has Super Bowl rings, been to 2 Super Bowls, won a playoff game every year of his career. He's kind of a big deal. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name's Russell Carrington Wilson.
Yeah.
comes out, gets the stat in this game, leads the Seahawks back for the victory. You know how much I hear about Russell Wilson? Diddly poo. Nothing. All I hear about is the great and fabulous Deshaun Watson. Man, Keith Cat over in the Seahawks Ring of Honor? Like the posted the post about you just like it if everybody just stopped. How can I put this for the younger listeners?
I think he even cleaned it up by saying S-ing his D.
Right. Okay. Very good. There. Yeah. Exactly. That's all the national media has done since this game. I was so excited to watch the highlights and have them talk about what a step the Seahawks offense took forward in the passing game, how brilliant Russell Wilson was, how he's in MVP form, and all I heard about was Deshaun freaking Watson. He's a rookie. He's got to have his comeuppance first. And he lost. He lost.
He didn't
lose. Win. He lost. So to the national media for overlooking yet again our quarterback. That's our quarterback. Do better.
Well, this might surprise you, Adam, because my better at life this week is Deshaun Watson.
Oh, no. Are you S-ing his D?
Adam, 400 yards passing. 50 rushing yards, 4 TDs. He's the first NFL player to do it.
3 picks and a loss.
And he did it against the Legion of Boom in Seattle. Blew out every other rookie performance in CenturyLink.
Yeah. You just ruined my do better.
I'm taking down your do better with my own better at life for Deshaun Watson.
All right. Look, here's the thing. I can support you in your better at life.
Yeah.
Because he did play a hell of a game. But the national media can still do better.
The national media can do better. But I'm going to come back around to you, Adam, because, the one thing I want to say is the national media now is on notice. Because now if there's a quarterback list out there in off season, when list season comes out, if there's a quarterback list now where Deshaun Watson is behind Andrew Luck, I think it's a bad list. Now, we'll see what goes on through the end of the year. But Andrew Luck is officially... He has fallen down a tier. If you can't make it back from injury, I understand he's hurt, but we can't keep putting him among the elite if he can't make it on the field.
After missing a season and a half, basically?
Right.
Yeah, well, what you are going to see is this year's Dak Prescott be ranked ahead of Russell Wilson yet again.
Probably, whatever. So I did a little bit of research because I saw that stat of 400-plus passing yards, 50-plus rushing yards, 4 TDs. And I thought, who are the other guys in his company? Now, he was the first guy to do it, but there were 3 other guys, 3 other quarterbacks to throw for more than 400 yards, to rush for more than 30 yards in a game. They didn't quite get to 50, but they got to 30, and they threw 3 or more interceptions in a losing effort. As you pointed out, Deshaun Watson's interceptions.
Yeah, and the loss. I don't know if I wanted to highlight that, but they lost.
They lost. And so did these 3 quarterbacks with similar stat lines. Cam Newton, Brett Favre, Randall Cunningham, all threw for more than 400 yards, rushed for 30-plus yards, threw 3 or more interceptions in a losing effort. So, for joining an elite company of losers, Deshaun Watson, better at life than Skip Bayless.
All right, you turned that around nicely. I will give you that. Well played, Brandon. Well played.
And we had Mark from Facebook post this last week saying, I only started listening this year. Can you guys go into why you hate Skip Bayless so much on your next podcast?
Ah, yes. Okay. Well, I kind of feel like we need an FAQ podcast.
Right.
Right?
I'm okay covering this once in a while because we do get new listeners. I don't mind it either.
I'm just saying that way it's easy so that you don't feel lost for like a few episodes and then write in feeling weird, being like, I don't get the joke.
Right.
I hate that. I've listened to shows and then finally have done that and was like, oh, that's what it is, right?
That's what it is.
Right.
But when we started this podcast in 2013, it was the year that Richard Sherman went on First Take. And at that time, Skip Bayless was on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith, part of First Take. And Bayless had been crushing Sherman for the longest time, saying he wasn't that good, he wasn't elite. And Sherman went on the show specifically to take down Skip Bayless. And he said to Skip, I'm better at life than you. And so that spawned, we started the show later that summer. And we started with the segment, Better at Life Than Skip Bayless, thanks to Richard Sherman.
Yep, all Brandon's idea, the longest running segment on the show from week 1.
We started at week 1 and carried it ever since. Do Better followed probably maybe
halfway through
that season, maybe.
Yeah. Halfway through the season.
I'm not sure we were in double digit shows yet, but Do Better's been there for a while too. But
yes, the longest running segment on the show. It's one of my favorite, and so I'm going to get to mine. My better at life than Skip Bayless this week was for John Schneider.
Yeah.
I know we've covered it, but thank you, freaking God. Oh, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you, John Schneider. I could almost cry. Thank you so much. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for finally doing this. Thank you for taking advantage of this roster, this defense, this opportunity. I love you. I love you so much. I'm on a knee. I'll propose right now. Thank you for the gift of Duane Brown. Thank you for the gift of offensive line. Thank you for this gift to my fandom, my sanity, everything. Thank you for this gift for the listeners that don't have to hear me yell about it anymore. Thank you for all of that. You are a messiah, a genius, a scholar. You should be the next president. No, scratch that. You should be the next ruler of the free world, like all the world. I love you, man. Thank you for helping a brother out. Oh, John Schneider, better at life than Skip Bayless.
I feel the love, Adam. Okay. I feel the love coming from you, and it may at least earn John Schneider. Maybe not all those other titles that you mentioned.
He needs them all,
but he finally does need a GM of the Year award. Although maybe scratch that because a lot of the GMs of the year are now fired. So I want him to stick around.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if he gets that recognition or not. I don't know that he does either, but I know a lot of you probably are wondering where I was on social media after this trade came down. Well, I was underneath my neighbor's Jeep all day installing a lift kit with him, and I had no idea this happened, and Brandon called.
I got to be the one to break the news to Adam on this. I was so excited.
Right. But he starts it out quizzically, dude. Dude, what?
I want to know if he was okay because I sent him a text and just saying dude, what's up? Yeah, and didn't hear from him. So it had been maybe an hour and a half after the news of the signing broke, and I had to call him and I had to make sure he was okay to make sure he didn't pass out from shock or.
No, once he told me, I slipped into a coma,
right?
Like a deep coma, and fortunately, I was able to wake up right before the show and see if this was real life. And turns out it still is.
It turns out it is.
This has been a good year for my deal.
This is why you need to go to this game. You called for it. Now it's happened. Now you can be there in person to witness an actual left tackle.
Yeah. Well, if the wheel grinding fairy can go to Lewiston, Idaho and just finish up those last 6 wheels this weekend for me, I'll be there for sure.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. Those wheels aren't going to grind themselves.
No. Does anybody know the wheel grinding fairy? It's really dirty.
We have some pretty cool listeners. So if the wheel grinding fairy exists, I hope it does. I bet they know. I bet we have a connection.
All right. Well, hopefully they do. So get on that, folks. Let us know your battle weapon of choice for podcast Ackerman audience battles, and let us know if you know the wheel grinding fairy.
Exactly. And because it is the first of the month, the show will be coming out November 1st. We want to shout out to all our monthly contributors of $12 or more. So thanks to DCH in Sparks, Nevada, who we will see at the game. Ross in Eureka, California. Ron in San Francisco. Ella in Woodway, Texas. Christina in Manassas, Virginia. David in Camas, Washington, who we will see at the game. Summer in Vancouver, Washington. Sven in Teltow, Deutschland. James in Linwood. Hector in Seattle. Craig in Camas, Washington. Keegan in Colorado Springs. Roe in Federal Way. Jameson in Murray, Utah. Gary in Chappaqua, New York. Young in Anchorage. Keith in Covington, Washington, a.k.a. Flocktimus Prime. John in New York City. Tim in Austin, Texas. Kathy in Eureka, California. Garrett in Northern Ontario. Kevin in Keene, Texas. Paul in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Mark in Kirrup, Western Australia. Crystal in Oldsmere, Florida. John Paul in Palmer, Alaska. Taylor in Inglewood, Colorado. Mike in Anchorage, Alaska. Brandon in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Craig in Pasco, Washington. Annalisa in New York City. Samuel in Altadena, California. Pepper in Greenville, South Carolina. And Thomas in the Bronx, New York. Thank you to all our $12 donors and higher for supporting the show, helping keep us going. We appreciate it a ton.
Oh, man. Hey, thank you for being with us on this journey this season that is starting to look pretty damn special.
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. We've got a left tackle.